Welcome back to the Hit Home Podcast. I'm Natalie Hashka, city girl turned entrepreneur who turned a big dream and a bold house flip into a thriving real estate brand, hitting my first six figures in my 20s. This is where we get raw and real, because life, entrepreneurship, and unapologetic womanhood deserve nothing less. I'm navigating life as a strong, independent woman who refuses to shrink, settle, or conform. And if that's you too, then you're in the right place. From personal growth and pop culture to behind the scenes real estate truths, no topic is off limits. I'm so glad you're here. Get ready for unfiltered stories, big laughs, and connections that will seriously hit home. Let's dive in. Okay, guys, we're back. So I'm currently sitting in my spray tan. I don't know if any of you do this, but it has to stay on me for like 4 to 5 hours. It's quite the process, like no deodorant, no cream, no bra, no panties, dark clothing. Yeah, it's so worth it, but it's such a nasty feeling. Like you feel sticky and you just watch it like get darker as the process takes on. It's actually kind of cool. So I'm back. I'm going to record an episode and I'm going to go and shower this stuff off and I'm going to be like a whole new person. And a whole new vibe with a tan. I feel so much prettier when I have a tan. I know that's horrible to say, but I really do. So today we're talking about some nutrition stuff. A lot of you wanted me to elaborate based on previous seasons in regards to my food. So we're going to be talking about my macros and more specifically volume eating. That's what I want to talk about on today's episode. So stuff your face and stay cute. I think that's pretty accurate, right? We all want to eat as much as we can. We want to enjoy the foods that we eat. You don't want to feel deprived or ever feel like you're restricting yourself or dieting. At least I don't. Even when I am cutting or in a deficit, I don't like that feeling, right? So I count my macros. Some of you know that. Macros is short for macronutrients, and it's your carbs, fats, and your protein. I specifically do this because I focus on my protein intake. So to gain muscle mass, you do need to be dialed in on your protein. And, there's different grams of protein per pound of body weight. That's how it works. On the low end, you can be eating 0.6 grams of protein per pound of body weight, or you could be eating upwards of like 1.4 grams per pound of body weight. And so back in the day when I first started out, I obviously started out on the lower end and I have worked my way up and I am currently on 1.4 grams per pound of body weight, which like for women is crazy high. Most men do this when they're bulking and in a surplus or like bodybuilding. But I find that when my protein is lower, I have a harder time putting on muscle mass. So I have upped it and I've been at this amount of protein for quite a while now. The only downside to this is that I just find it consumes the majority of my calories. It's good because to hit that macronutrient, like having that much protein in my diet, it doesn't leave room for like a lot of carbs. So I keep my fats high for my my concussion, like with my brain. And fats are really important as a woman for your hormones too, like your cycle and all of those things. And then I keep my protein high, and then my carbs, and carbs are like non-essential for all humans. So my carbs are on the low end. I still eat carbs. I really keep it at a minimum, like some white rice, my oats in the morning. And most of my carbs come from like fruits and vegetables, truthfully. So let's get into this though. My diet is high protein and everything is pre-planned. I use an app. I track my food, but I also plan my food. And you've heard me say it before, fail to plan, plan to fail. I'm a firm believer of that. So I take a day out of the week. It's usually on the weekend, and I plan my macros roughly over the next 7 days. Sometimes I'll plan full meals. Sometimes it's like just like very loose in the app what I want to eat. But it gives me an outline. I never really look at food as like what I'm craving or what I'm feeling like. My food is to fuel my body and to fuel my goals. And so, I plan them once a week, and then it's kind of like a surprise. Like by the time Wednesday hits, I'm like, I don't even know what I have planned for dinner. It's like a surprise. Let's open it up and see what I'm eating today, you know? And I love it. For me, it works. I make so many decisions throughout the day as an entrepreneur. I don't want to think about what I have to make for food, or like, what do I have at home? What am I feeling like today or craving? It just takes the thought process out of it for me. It also streamlines my grocery bill because I can really, really scale into what I need as far as my grocery list when it comes to going to the grocery store. And I'm not like aimlessly going around the grocery store thinking about what I need or might want that week. I also make sure that if I'm craving something, that I plan that. Like if I want a coffee every day and a coffee makes me happy, I put that into my app and I plan around it. If I'm feeling like pizza, if I'm feeling like pasta, whatever it is, I don't deprive myself. I put it in and I work all of my macros around that, but I always make sure I hit my protein. That's like key for me. So, high protein diet. I'm also gluten free. I'm not celiac, but when I started working with my naturopath, she had suggested for my autoimmune disease and my concussion that we go gluten free. There's a lot of like studies and research that support they help with the symptoms of those two things for me. So I am gluten free the majority of the time. Of course, some restaurants don't always offer it. I pretty much always stick to like, my meat and veggies when I'm out. When I'm traveling too, it can be challenging. But I also have to live and there's balance. So, I do what I can, but I don't really stress. If I'm away and I want to indulge, I indulge. I might pay the price for it later. Sometimes I don't. My body responds differently all the time. But like, if I am going to splurge and it's a 10 out of 10, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm going to be kind and treat myself with kindness. And I'm just going to pick up and get back on track the next day. And truthfully, like, if I'm going to eat properly for my muscle mass gains and my concussion and my autoimmune disease, if I'm like that 99% of the day and I just have like one small thing, again, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. So I just try to be flexible with myself and enjoy life. But with that being said, I am super dialed in to my diet. I eat 80-20, so 80% whole foods and 20% processed foods for myself. Again, there's a lot of research around this that we tend to not overeat whole foods. Like nobody's going to go eat 10 chicken breasts. Let's be real. But you could eat a whole bag of potato chips. So I really try to keep processed foods to a minimum, and I let myself indulge on the whole food. I eat a ton of vegetables and a ton of protein, like lots of egg whites, all of those things. And I just try to make the best choice, right? There's good, better, and best. When I'm eating out, I obviously make the best choice, or I will have them, specifically omit something, replace something, or I'll say salad dressing on the side. I'll ask them to do half the oil when cooking, whatever it is. I do ask for accommodations, and I feel like most restaurants now are so used to that. And the nice thing about counting macros and weighing your food, because everything has to be weighed in grams when you're counting macros. And it's ideal that you weigh it in grams and you weigh it raw. So your meat should be weighed raw, all of your vegetables, all of that stuff should be weighed raw. What it allows for is that when you are traveling or out for dinner, it allows you to eyeball portion sizes and to get the idea of like what an average portion size is. And so I feel like that's really beneficial because like not everybody is going to count calories or count macros and track macros for the rest of their life. I feel like it's one of those things you need to be dialed into so that you understand what a fat, carb, and protein are. And you are dialed into the amount of food you're eating, because people are always either under eating or overeating, and they have no frigging idea. And then they will blame it on hormones or their age or that nothing is working. And like, there's something in the industry called BLT, bite, licks, and tastes. people don't realize like everything that you take a bite of, a lick of, a taste of from your child, from your boyfriend, from your husband, that shit adds up. Ready to make a move in the GTHA? Let's make it happen together. I'd love to help you find your perfect place. Not in the area, but still in Canada? No worries. I've got connections coast to coast. Send me a message and I'll point you in the right direction. And if you've been eyeing the things I share on Instagram, treat yourself. All the links to my Shop My page are waiting for you in the show notes below. Go take a peek and grab your faves. Happy shopping. You might not think it does, but your body's counting it. And so those things can take you over what you should be for your caloric intake depending on what your goals are, right? So what is volume eating? Let's go with that first, okay? So volume eating is typically like a dietary approach that emphasizes large quantities of low calorie, high volume foods to promote fullness and potentially aid in weight management. It involves prioritizing foods like fruits, vegetables, soups, which are naturally lower in calories but can help you feel more satisfied. So this is a term that I didn't really hear about until I got into like the fitness industry. And a lot of people use volume eating when they're cutting and dieting like in a deficit because it's just easier to get full and stay full when your calories are lower. So the idea is focusing on low calorie and high volume foods. The strategy centers itself around eating foods that have like high water and fiber intake. I do focus on fiber. I count my fiber in my app. I'm somewhere around like 25 grams, which is like pretty normal for the average person. And things like this with like higher water and higher fiber could be fruit, it could be vegetables and certain whole grains as an example. So these foods take up more space in your stomach. And potentially they lead to you feeling like more full. So reducing your calorie intake. So by focusing on these types of foods, you can eat larger portions, obviously, like I mentioned, while still consuming fewer calories overall though. And so it's great for managing your weight. It's great for reducing your calorie intake, especially when you're feeling restricted on things. So, things that I focus on eating are vegetables. So I eat a lot of vegetables. Typically when you're doing like volume eating though, they'll say like leafy greens like spinach and kale or broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, and bell peppers. Fruits, all your berries, of course. You can go with your melon. So I tend to stick with watermelon is my go-to, apples and oranges. And then soups. So typically like broth-based soups. I make a lot of vegetable soup at home, super filling. I think it's like the mix of it being hot and then also just like the veggies. I feel like that's why it works. Popcorn, I eat a lot of popcorn and I make my popcorn homemade, like old school. I grew up like that in my house. So do not buy the processed stuff that's in the bag. Like you can either cook it on the stove or you can buy one of those microwave safe popping containers and like actually buy your kernels and you can salt it yourself, or you can buy the flavors, like the sprinkle flavors you can put on top, like the 0-calorie ones from the movie theater. I won't drop the name, but if you know, you know. So, and then like certain whole grains, like oats and quinoa, things like that as well. So, the benefits of volume eating is increased satiety. So like, obviously you're feeling fuller longer. The high fiber and water content of these foods can help you feel full, satisfied, and reducing your cravings and reduce you from overeating throughout the day. Trying to lose weight is hard, and like cuts, depending on your cut. So when I'm cutting, I cut between like 6 and 16 weeks. It varies. I don't cut longer than 16 weeks. After that, I will go to maintenance. And I have done mini cuts at 6 weeks. I was that girl though that was always dieting. That was my generation, because the talk of like a surplus for bulking or maintenance calories was like unheard of in my generation. So I was always just fucking dieting and fucking starving. And then you just get used to like never eating food and then having these like cheat days is what we would call them. And then overeating and fucking up everything in one day, I mean, obviously now things are so different with how far along we've come with nutrition and building muscle and weightlifting and all of that. But when you're trying to lose weight, I feel like these areas are so important, like making sure that you're hitting your water intake. I drink a gallon a day, making sure you're hitting your fiber. I do 25 grams a day, making sure you hit your protein and your veggies, right? Like all of these areas in which you can do volume eating with so easily. So for me, I eat a lot of green salads and I will literally take a huge bowl, like the large size of a salad that they serve you at a restaurant is like what I eat to myself at home. I do eat a heck load of cauliflower, like so much cauliflower. Whether I'm making cauliflower mashed potatoes, whether I'm boiling cauliflower, I eat a shitload of cauliflower rice. But cauliflower is like a huge staple in my house. Help us spread the love one home at a time. And if you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and share the podcast. It means so much and it might just make someone else's day. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you want to keep in touch, come say hi on Instagram at @TheRealNat. One of the tricks I do with cauliflower rice specifically is I will mix it with regular white rice, which is gluten-free, just to like reduce the calories. Sometimes I need carbs at night. And for me, like, it's not that I can't eat the whole rice portion. It's I can eat so much more of cauliflower rice, So for me, I would rather look at a larger portion and feel satisfied than having like a cup or 2 cups of cauliflower rice versus like a half a cup of regular white rice, So I'll mix the two together. I eat so many vegetables like alone from salad. I love zucchini. Zucchini is another staple in my house. I buy so many of them a week. I do a lot of peppers too, broccoli in my stir fry, like my air fryer stir fry veggies. And so I consume daily like 400 to 600 grams of vegetables, which is a lot. That's a lot. I eat my oats in the morning as mentioned, which is another volume food. Popcorn is a staple for me when it comes to snacks. I feel like I eat a lot of popcorn. My berries, my eggs. So I eat egg whites and I make them different ways. So one of my favorite ways to make my egg whites actually is I have a little like microwave container, but you can also do it on the stove. And then I put calorie-free syrup on it, like maple syrup with some cinnamon. I don't know what it tastes like. It really doesn't taste like anything, but it kind of reminds me of a pancake, like a crepe. I don't know, but it's really delicious. It's really filling. It's high in protein and it's sweet, which is nice. So it feels like a dessert if I'm craving something, especially around my period or whatnot. Cottage cheese I also use for volume eating. I use cottage cheese in like so many things. I'll mix it into pasta sauce. I will make my dessert out of it, mixing it with protein powder and like frozen berries. I put it in my protein shakes. I will find a way to put it everywhere. I put it in my protein pancakes. But I just find there's like so many different things. I've made dips out of it for my veggies. So yeah, cottage cheese is definitely another staple. I mentioned my watermelon. And then fish and chicken. Fish and chicken are 2 of the proteins that a lot of people use for volume eating. I eat a lot of both of these. I switch it up. I eat chicken thighs. I eat chicken breasts. I like chicken thighs only because they do have more fat content. And for me, I find it hard to get fat in just because, again, I'm the generation of like the fat-free people. And I just feel like they're far more like juicier, tender, and have a lot more flavor than a chicken breast. So that's my go-to. Fish, I eat a lot of fish and I love all types of fish. So whether it's whitefish or salmon, I do canned tuna, but I love fish in general. So the last thing I kind of want to talk about though on this is that I always go between like a deficit, maintenance, and surplus. I've been between a maintenance for my calories and a surplus for, I want to say like almost a year and a half now. And I've been trying to put on muscle, obviously. So I would like to do a deficit, like a cut at some point. I have just found it's been super hard after getting used to eating more food and having more options within my day of having like the flexibility of more calories to play with. I just feel like it's going to be really hard for me this time to go back into a deficit and cut a bit. So I will do it. Maybe I will put it on Instagram when I'm doing it and people can follow me along. But I would like to do it before 2025 is out. Definitely. And it might just be a mini cut. Who knows? It might be shorter than longer. And when I do those things, I don't eat out. So I'm like religious. I want to get in and out. I don't want to fuck around with them. So some people will eat out and then they're not tracking properly and then they have to stay in these cuts forever. Like nobody wants to be in a diet phase for a long period of time. So for me, it's like I just need to be religious and get in and get out. So stay tuned. I'll let you know if I'm going to do one this year or not. You guys can follow me along. I can maybe show like what I'm eating and things like that. But I thought for this episode, because so many people had inquired about my food, like from what I show on Instagram, and I just thought volume eating was one of the first things I wanted to talk about because it's really a huge part of how I eat. And so we're going to start there. If anyone has any questions about like macros or calculating their macros, they can reach out to me, of course. But yeah, for the majority of it, again, just to wrap up, I'm counting my macros. I'm eating high protein. I'm doing gluten-free. I'm doing 80% whole foods and only 20% processed. And I try to minimize obviously dining out and things like that when I can, realizing that I do have to live though. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you found this useful and I will catch you on the next episode. Bye. That's a wrap. Consider this episode officially tied with a bow. Thanks for hanging out today as we got real, raw, and unfiltered about life, womanhood, and everything in between. If this episode hit home for you, tap those stars, subscribe, and make sure you don't miss the next one. Remember, we're here for real conversations and raw connections. So don't stop here. Come find me on Instagram @TheRealNat and say, hey, loved this episode? Share it and tag me. I love seeing what resonates with you, and it helps me keep the free content coming. Until next time, on the podcast that always feels like home.